Hi, everyone. So I just want to thank you all for coming today and attending our FEZANA Talks session. For those of you who aren't aware, FEZANA Talks, or FEZANA in general, represents 27 Zoroastrian associations across Canada and the United States, which is roughly 25,000 Zoroastrians in total. So just if you want to stay up to date on future events, future FEZANA Talks events, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the FEZANA, and also subscribe to our e-newsletter. So these talks we facilitate are a platform for us to learn from each other, celebrate our community's accomplishments, and also a safe place to have a dialogue. We will have a question and answer session today, so I just ask you to post any questions you may have for our presenters in the chat section. One thing I do need to mention is that FEZANA does not take a stance during these talks, and any stances taken during a session are one's own, not FEZANA's. However, our mandate is to create an avenue to have these important discussions, and that's what we're doing today. And FEZANA will always play a moderating and facilitating role. So I'd love to introduce today's host, Cyrus Mistry. Cyrus is currently the Group Product Manager at Google, where he's responsible for commercial Chromebooks worldwide. That's pretty amazing. Cyrus has managed the enterprise, education, and consumer sides of several products at Google, including a lot of things that everyone's most likely aware of, like Android, Chrome, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Google Tasks, and the Google Search Appliance business. Cyrus has 22 years of hardware and software experience with roles in product management, program management, business development, marketing, consulting, and software development. Cyrus has 4 degrees from Johns Hopkins with postgraduate work in natural language processing, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. An impressive career thus far, to say the least. Thank you, Cyrus, for hosting today's session. I'd love to now invite you to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for that great introduction. It is my great pleasure to be interviewing today my Uncle Sam. I love that he's called Uncle Sam. So I have known my Uncle Sam for, all of my life, obviously. Sam is one of those people that everybody just loves. He is the life of the party. Everyone naturally gravitates to him. I've seen this firsthand every time. He really lights up the room. I always look forward to visiting him, and not just because he would put me in the best suites and give me a box of Godiva chocolates on the bed, but he really is larger than life. He knows everything about every movie, every actor, every minute of every Godfather movie. Of course, his favorite actress, Marilyn Monroe, he knows everything about her. But his journey, what we're going to focus on today, is by far the most interesting. Sam went from a middle-class family in a Parsi colony in Grant Road, Mumbai, to managing over 12,000 rooms in over a dozen hotels around the world. He opened and operated the first Indian international hotel in New York and London for the Taj Mahal hotel chain. He has 40 years of managerial and operational experience in the hotel industry and a Bachelor of Engineering with honors from VJTI. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the one, the only, the icon, Sam Bada. Welcome, Sam.
Whoa, awesome, man, awesome.
Sam paid me to say all that. No, I'm kidding. So Sam, let's start out. So can you tell us something about your childhood? Who influenced you most growing up? Let's start from the very beginning.
Well, my childhood journey actually started, like you said, in a middle-class family in a Parsi colony, Uranwala Street, in Grant Road, next to Grant Road Station in Bombay, India. My dad, Sam Bada, was totally a self-made man. He was brought up in an orphanage, born in Udvada and brought up in an orphanage, but through sheer hard work, commitment, dedication, and grit, he actually graduated from one of the finest engineering schools in Bombay, in India, at that time, VJTI, in electrical and mechanical engineering. And what I learned from him is discipline, hard work, commitment, and loyalty above all. He worked with Godrej and Boyce for nearly 50 years. And for him, Naval Godrej was like Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Godfather 3, all packaged into one. And he was a giant of a man. On the other side, my mom, Jarbanu Bhadha, she was a saint, absolute peacemaker in the family. And I learned from her what humility is all about. Even when she talked to a vendor in the street, a ghost wala or a pav wala, "Arey baba, jara please humko charbi wala ghost do na," or the pav wala, "Please humko karak broom pav do na." That was her, humility. And I learned this from both of them. And growing up in Uranwala Street was a barrel of fun. Every kid's dream. I had my whole gang. There was Pagri Cyrus, there was Lemlik, Rumi Buhariwala, the Pollard brothers, Phil Faring and Rohinton and Bobby Parak across the road. And there was Ratan Romeo Besadia and Aspi Packet, Firoz and I mean, it was a whole gang. All day we were nothing but playing Dhavadubi, Nargolio, Itikiti, cricket, Chor Police, but I had to give my lessons to Dad. I had to give him my homework, and then only allow me to go down and play. That was my life in growing up in Uranwala Street.
So I heard from both my mother and my grandmother that you were quite a mischievous guy in school. By the way, I've seen also this firsthand. And you got into a lot of trouble right from your childhood. And you were a big movie buff. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Wow, thanks for the compliment. Although I was a topper in my class, I was always first, second, or third. I had a knack of getting into trouble. I was always getting into mischief. My sister Arna, she was the quiet one. If there were two girls talking in class on a bench, they would put Arna's in the middle so they wouldn't talk. I spent my life more standing on the bench than sitting on the bench in my class. Always getting into trouble. I remember on the prize distribution day, I would be first in my class, but all my prizes were confiscated because my conduct was not satisfactory. And then on prize distribution day, sitting in the auditorium next to my dad, this guy who was, of course, senior to me by 3-4 years, his name is Jangu Mistry, your dad, he would be first in the class and go with these prizes and all. And my dad would be giving me chamtas and pinching me. Look at this guy. And all your prizes are confiscated. Class mein bada na asave, lavagiri kare and all that. And that was the story of my life. Always getting into trouble. And things went to a little bit overhead in the 6th standard. I remember 6th standard teacher was a lady named Ivy Fernandez. And in the 6th standard, I was mesmerized by these marbles, these purple, yellow, green marbles. And I was good in triangles and koiba also, and a good collection of marbles. And my dad, he used to make me do my homework. He used to, in fact, write my notes at times. And I was a hell of a rascal. I was a hustler in those days. I would sell my dad's homework for 5 marbles. I would sell the essays that he wrote for 10 marbles. And I had this beautiful collection of marbles. Till one day in the 5th standard, teacher Ivy Fernandez saw that my homework was identical to Shiraz Mamuji, my classmate's homework. She called Shiraz because I was a topper in the class. And she asked Shiraz, did you copy Sam Bada's homework? Shiraz very innocently said, no, teacher. I gave him 10 marbles for that. Alas, a remark went in my calendar. Mum was gone. And I had the bloody thrashing of my life. Foot roller, the cane, drones and missiles flying. That was my dad. Chappals and shoes flying at me. And it was, I deserved every bit of it. And, growing up was fun. I remember our Uranwala Street was surrounded by all movie theaters. We had Minerva, Leamington, which became Apsara, Novelty, Swastik, Imperial, Opera House, Super, whatever. All of them were around. And our biggest attraction was Sunday morning show. Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, all these Hollywood movies, we would see them. Marilyn Monroe, my God, I saw every movie of her. Some Like It Hot, Miss Face, River of No Return, Niagara, everyone. all the westerns, John Wayne, Randolph Scott, Tarzan, Johnny Weissmuller, and Lex Barker. And we had this guy, Khodu Irani. Khodu Mullah, I mean, he's gone to Iran now, but Khodu's uncle, Rusi uncle, was the manager of Lamington Cinema. So every Sunday morning, Khodu, Viraf from upstairs, myself and all would go to Lamington Cinema. And Rusi uncle had told the usherer that any Parsi boy comes, the first 4 rows, which were the cheap foreigner seats, let them show them tell them to show the Sadra Kasti, and then let them in free. So we would go there, raise our shirt there, show the Sadra Kasti, and we were in free. And what a ball we had. Then we even got our servants, my Bhanyo Ramo. I made him wear the Sadra Kasti, and we used to take Bhanyo also to see the movies here. And it was fun in the movie theaters. I remember Vera Cruz, the last gunfight between Gary Cooper and Burt Lancaster, the Man in Black, shootout at sundown, and we would clap and clap. And Rusi uncle would then rewind the reel and play it again for us. Yeah, that was fun. That was growing up in Grand Road, Urandwara Street. Yeah, a Sunday morning, what a scene! And you know that was my life in Urandwara Street and movies growing up. Yeah. Anyway.
Amazing childhood stories. I am not surprised in the slightest. So as mentioned, you have a Bachelor of Engineering from your dad's college, VJTI in Mumbai, with first class honors. Amazing. So how did you end up in the hotel industry at the Taj Mahal Hotel? And how did the Taj Hotel transform your engineering background into hotel management?
I don't know, it's a tricky journey. I mean, I was pretty good in school, in class, although my grades suffered after Dad, stopped teaching me after the 5th standard, after that marble scene. Anyway, but I was always among the first 5 in class. So in my SSC, I got about a good first class. And so off to Xavier's College, I did my first year science and into science. Right throughout all this time, the mantra in my house was engineer thamanu, VJTI javanu, ne pachi Godrej javanu. मैं नवल गोदरेज साढ़े बात करी नहीं दली छे. It's like our Indian ministers. ऊपर तक बात पहुंच गई है, तुम्हारा काम हो जाएगा. And I had no choice but to, after my inter science, go to VJTI. I hated every day of VJTI. Believe me, every day. They had one canteen in VJTI which served idli dosa, masala dosa and idli sambar for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yeah. And you can't live on that. Yeah. And you couldn't even bunk college because surrounding in Matunga were only South Indian restaurants and no movie theaters. So anyway, 4 years I passed and I finally got my BE electrical. And I mean, I knew Judgment Day had come. I would have to go to Godrej. But in the meantime, my sister Arnaz, she had married. You remember that Jangir Mistry who used to get all those prizes? Your dad was now a double graduate from MIT. Yeah. They had settled down in the US, and Jangu was very, very helpful. He told me which colleges to apply. I started applying to US colleges quietly without mom and dad knowing. Yeah. My first preference, of course, was University of Southern California because they had co-ed dorms there. And then, of course, I applied to Berkeley and Columbia and NYU, Purdue, Wisconsin, etc. But the biggest problem was Dad was not going to pay for all this. So I had to get a scholarship. Applied for Tata Scholarship, RD Setna was loan, but Tata Scholarship was the main one. Unfortunately, I did not get Tata Scholarship. Yeah. So all my dreams were shattered. Yeah. Fortunately, I'd also applied to a business school. There were only 3 good business schools in India at that time. There was Jamnalal Bajaj in Bombay, IIM in Ahmedabad, and the Calcutta Business School. So I got into Jamnalal Bajaj. I told Dad that, Dad, I'm going to Godrej anyway, but a B with an MBA, I mean, that's will give me a better salary and all that. So Dad said, okay, fine, go to Bajaj. I hated Bajaj also. Yeah, Bajaj I didn't do well there. And again, they had one canteen which served only dosas and vadas. Yeah, so that was the story of my life. Anyway, then something happened one day. I was going to my class, and in Bajaj, on the notice board, was this big notice. The Taj Mahal group of hotels is recruiting management interns. Minimum qualification is graduate, MBAs are preferred, starting salary 950 rupees a month. A bloody engineer gets 500 rupees a month at that time. An engineer with an MBA gets 650, and Taj was giving 950 bucks here. Wow. Every mother's son who was graduating out of Bajaj that time after the 2-year course applied for it. I, of course, had done my only first year. And I said, what the hell, let me apply for it. Minimum qualification is graduate. So I applied for it. It'll give me a good experience of going through interviews when I go to Godrej and all. So I applied for it, and didn't I know that there were 32,000 applications for some 10 management intern positions here. I went through the first interview, second interview, third interview, seventh interview, eighth interview, and I got it. I said, 950 bucks. I got it. How the hell do I break this to mom and dad? So I told mom and dad, and mom became hysterical. What will I tell Bommy Barak's mother across the road, or Alu Bhadha upstairs, or Jarbano Patel downstairs, that my son, who is an engineer and couldn't get a job, so is now in Taj washing plates? Mom, I'm not washing plates. I'm a management intern. No, this Taj you'll be washing. No, Mom. Finally, I told mom and dad, listen, give me 1 year. 1 year in the Taj. If I don't like it, I will take the first fast train from Grand Road to Vikhroli and go to Godrej straight here. But 1 year, let me give it a shot at the Taj here. So Dad said, Karwa de Mohan, Jekar Ward, Karwa de. So I joined the Taj. And believe me, I am very honest and very sincere that the 12-month induction program that the Taj gave me was better than 4 years of engineering, 1 year at Jamnalal Bajaj, everything here. It was thorough, precise. 12 months, 1 month in front office, training, 1 month in housekeeping, 1 month in accounting, 1 month in restaurants, 1 month in the kitchen. We had to peel prawns, debone chicken, fillet fish. I had all my fingers all cut out with bandages. Mom used to say, "More leopard jeo lage ragat pitio," but that was it. And I'm most grateful to some people over there. There was the general manager, Rusi Daruwala. Rusi Daruwala was a giant of a man. Giant of a man. I learned everything that I know from Rusi Daruwala and his cousin Naushid Daruwala, the operations guy. And Rusi Sagar, wow, director of marketing. The most important thing Taj taught us, the most important thing is this Sanskrit slogan, Atithi Devo Bhava. This was embedded in our brain, in our soul. God, guest is God. Guest is always right. And we were sort of energized on this. And today, when I think on hindsight, during the terror attacks in Bombay, when all those chefs and managers, they became martyrs saving their guests. Yeah, it was all about that Atithi Devo Bhava. Guest is God. And it really influenced us all. Yeah. So anyway, going back, I was called after the whole program was over by Rusi Daruwala. And he said, Sam, you've done a damn good job. We're very impressed with your work and all. And we'd like you to go to Cornell University for some courses in Ithaca, upstate New York. Cornell University, you're talking about the best bloody hotel school with Lausanne in the world. Yeah, going to America. Oh, yes. I went to Cornell, everything paid for, did my restaurant management, meat science management, operations, sales, marketing, etc. The last week in Cornell, I get a call from Taj. We've arranged an internship for you for a few weeks at the Fairmont in San Francisco. Go straight to Fairmont. Wow, Fairmont. Off to Frisco. Few weeks in Frisco, another call. We've arranged an internship for you in London at the London Intercontinental. Straight off to London. Imagine they invested all this in me. I had no bond, nothing. I could have stayed put in America and said bye-bye Taj, but no. I mean, that was the confidence Taj had in all of us. Yeah. And one thing led to another, and finally I came back to the Taj. Now my mom and dad were very happy. Foreign jai aayo, America jai aayo, so Taj bache. And I was put as an assistant front office manager, middle-level management, in the Taj Mahal Hotel, Bombay. And within a year or so, I became front office manager. Within another year or so, I became the executive assistant manager and the rooms division manager and the resident manager. Resident manager is right up there under the general manager. So it was pretty good, yeah. And then of course in 1978, I was interviewing some front office assistants, and I met this girl, Skyla Setna, who came in this blue polka dot dress, and I was totally smitten, and gave her a job as a front office assistant. Within a few weeks, I proposed to her. And, I mean, lovely family. Her mother, Farida Setna, was a charming lady, full of fun. And her dad, Jim Setna, wow, gentleman's gentleman, little bow tie and all. And I learned all my wines and my malt whiskies from him. He knew everything, whether it's Lagul and Talisker, Oban, Glenkinchie, whether it's Chateau Margaux, Chateau Aubryon, Chateau Mouton Rothschild. This guy knew his stuff. I learned a lot. And then I got married.
Oh, my goodness. So how did you eventually get to New York and become the general manager of the first Taj International Hotel? And not just any, but that to a 750 room hotel in Midtown Manhattan.
Karma. That's all I can put it on, yeah. When I was just about to get married, Rusi Daruwala was retiring. He had retired. And Jimmy Lam was made the general manager of the hotel. Now, Jimmy Lam was a hotelier's hotelier, trained in Austria, Goro ekdam white, reddish guy. The guy had style. He had this Dunhill cigarette from the corner of his mouth, gold Dunhill lighter on his table and all that. And wow. I used to admire this guy. This is what a hotelier should be, not a bloody Grand Road Parsi like me. Yeah, this is it. And Jimmy Lam became the GM. And I knew, for the next 5 years, with Jimmy Lam as GM, I won't get a shot at the title. So I had to think of moving sideways and then moving up. And then in the meantime, I had heard this gossip going on that the Taj is going to buy its first international hotel in New York City called the Lexington Hotel. I didn't pay much attention to it, but what caught my ear was that was the hotel where Marilyn Monroe lived with Joe DiMaggio for years. Yeah. I said, my God, Taj Mahal is buying Marilyn's hotel. Yeah. Anyway, then I got married and I had some godfathers in Kuwait Airways, Jassim Marzouk and all. They gave me 2 free tickets, first class, Kuwait Airways to New York. Thanks, Aban. And then through the hotel mafia, the Barclay Intercontinental in New York, they gave me a complimentary suite. And so we went off to New York for our honeymoon. And guess where the Intercontinental was? On 48th Street and Lexington Avenue, bang opposite the Lexington Hotel on 48th Street and Lexington Avenue. And on the next day, I told Skyla, let's go and have breakfast at this hotel that the Taj is buying. Yeah. So we went into this little restaurant called Bun and Burger of the Lexington Hotel. My God, it was a glorified McDonald's here. I mean, absolutely. Anyway, we finished our breakfast and Skyla said, listen, I am going over to the hotel to freshen up and change and then we'll go sightseeing. So I said, why don't you go? I will just zip into the lobby and have a look at the lobby. And I'm already dressed up, so I'll just go to the lobby and I'll meet you there. So I went into the lobby. The lobby was a small, crummy, dated lobby. So what the hell is Taj buying? I mean, it was a great location and 750 rooms, huge block, but terrible hotel here. Anyway, I was just leaving the lobby and then through the revolving door of the lobby comes in Lenny Menezes. Lenny Menezes are VP of Overseas Operations. So Lenny said, hey, Sam, what are you doing here? I said, Mr. Menezes, I'm on my honeymoon. I'm staying at the Intercontinental across the road. And I thought I'd just pop in and see the hotel. Yeah. So how do you like the hotel? No, have you met Mr. Kerkar? Now, like Rusi Daruwala was Godfather, Kerkar was God, Bhagwan. He was the managing director and CEO of Indian Hotels Company, of the whole Taj group of hotels. So I said, no, sir, I haven't met Kerkar. Skyla is waiting for me. No, you must go and meet Mr. Kerkar. You have to meet Mr. Kerkar that you're here. He's upstairs in the Marilyn Monroe suite, 1806. Marilyn Monroe suite? I have to meet Mr. Kerkar now. Yeah. So I said, yes, let's go and meet Mr. Kerkar in 1806 Marilyn Monroe Suite. So off we went to 1806, entered the suite, and went to the bedroom, and this huge king bed with four posts and all that was Mr. Kerkar lying on the bed, and he had all sorts of papers and files and Wall Street Journal and everything around it. And he saw him, he said, "Hey, Sam, what are you doing here?" I said, "Sir, I'm on my honeymoon. I'm at the Intercontinental across the road." Good. You know, we are buying this hotel in a week's time. I said, yes, Mr. Kerkar. Congratulations, I heard that. All the very best here. So how do you like this hotel? I said, it's tremendous potential, sir. 750 rooms, huge block. The Taj is only 620 rooms. This is 750 rooms. Yeah, you know, fantastic. Yeah, Midtown Manhattan, New York. Yeah. No, but how do you like this hotel? I said, in all honesty, Mr. Kerkar, the hotel is a little bit of a crummy hotel, but it's got tremendous potential. Yeah. So the very next question Mr. Kerkar asked me was, how would you like to run this hotel? I said, come on, man. I would give my right arm to be in New York City. I said, Mr. Kerkar, I'd love it. I'll make you proud. And that was the longest honeymoon anyone could have ever had. I was in the right time at the right place. If I hadn't gone to the Bun and Burger for breakfast, if I had gone to the lobby to see the crummy lobby, if I hadn't seen Lenny Menezes, and if he hadn't mentioned the Marilyn Monroe suite, I wouldn't have seen Ajit Kerkar. Right time, right place, my karma. And that's how I landed up in New York here. And you know, New York is a great city, but it has its challenges also. It has its challenges.
What kind of challenges did you face when you were there, when you moved to New York?
Well, you know, you have to remember that Taj Mahal in Bombay is the finest hotel in India and in Southeast Asia, with a tremendous infrastructure. You want the hotel tariff to be changed, you just call VP administration, Mr. Karve. He would contact some ministers and the tourist office, and your tariff goes up. You want to open a new restaurant, Vice President Mr. Naushad Darwala will call Chopra in our Hong Kong office, and he would send the finest chefs, Frankie Locke and all, yeah. And you have the Golden Dragon. You need an airline crew to stay with you. Call the Taj Flight Kitchen. They have contacts with Kuwait Airways, Alitalia, and you have Alitalia and Lufthansa in your hotel. Yeah, that was the infrastructure. In New York, you are alone. I was all by myself, a total cowboy in the Lexington, and nobody has heard of the Taj. Nobody gives a shit about what the hell is Taj. I mean, it's all about the Sheratons, the Hiltons, the Marriotts, and a little bit of Ritz-Carltons here. What the hell are you going to do all by yourself? And the Reserve Bank of India wouldn't allow the Taj to send money to help us here. So I was literally all by myself, a babe in the woods here. And I mean, the first year I was really stressed out, truly stressed out. And we lost $1 million in the first year. That's a lot of money in our net operating income in the first year. And then I saw the only way to solve this is to get my niche market. Our niche market was Indians. And I had to focus on this niche market. I had a very dear friend in Air India, Firoz Dordi. And Firoz Dordi introduced me to the RD of Air India. The RD was a guy named Harry Kaul, you know, related to the Nehru family and totally blue blood Kashmiri. And his wife was a Parsi lady, Katie. So Firoz Dordi introduced me to Katie, and I mean, I went and met Katie auntie this, Katie auntie that, and all. And Katie then introduced me to Harry Kaul. I kissed his ring 20 times, and Harry Kaul finally gave me the Air India crew to stay at the Lexington. That's a good piece of business. 18 rooms every day for 2 days. That's 36 rooms a day, 5% of my hotel. And I had great buddies of Air India, Obi Goda, and all of those guys. Yeah, all of them were there. And it was a good piece of business that I get. Then I started going to the my godfathers in Kuwait Airways, Jasim Marzouk and Farah Samdan, Abdul Aziz Bassam and all. And they put the Kuwait Airways crew here. So I had Kuwait Airways with me. That's another 18 rooms. I contacted all our Parsi Bawaji Mafia. I mean, thanks to TCI, Adi Kadgara. The Kadgaras helped me a lot. Yeah, Adi Kadgara, Jahangir, Palan Kadgara and all. I got all the tour groups of Indians that were coming in, yeah. All the FITs and tour groups. By FITs, I mean free independent tourists and all. And then I contacted, that was the biggest tour operator out of India was SOTC. Ranjit Malik was the owner. And the manager, general manager, was a Parsi guy named Parsi Harbour. Somehow or the other, through my cousin Kawas Nazir in Dobitala, I managed to find out my relationship with Parsi Harbour. And Percy massaged him and all that. And bingo, I got SOTC business. Whole bloody tour groups. It was like a mini India. Then the next person I met was Mr. Raskotra and his wife Choti. Yeah. I mean, I should put his photograph up there with all the godfathers. Yeah. Raskotra was the Indian ambassador to the United Nations. Yeah. And met Raskotra. I knew him from the Taj Bombay days. And Raskotra said, sure, Sam, we know what you're capable of. I will give you all possible assistance. And he started putting all our Indian diplomats there. Sharad Pawar, Sushil Kumar Shinde, and all the UN delegations that used to come. And the UN delegations used to stay for 2-3 weeks. And I have fond memories of one of the delegations, which was headed by Mr. Bajpai, Atal Bihari Bajpai, who was the leader of the opposition at that time. And I used to sit with Mr. Bajpai in the evenings and have a drink. He loved his little scotch in the evenings and a great time. And we used to have breakfast together. And one day before breakfast with Mr. Bajpai, I came to know that he's going to be made the Prime Minister of India. I said, wow, I sent my bellboy running to Little India on 28th and Legs, got jalebis and all that, served him for breakfast. Bajpai was thrilled. And at that time, we had Raj Kapoor and his wife Krishna staying with us. And Raj Kapoor was there for his medical treatment and all. And I remember Bajpai ji saying that, you know, Sam, we politicians may come and go, but these actors and Bollywood people will be there forever. Boom, my antenna went up. Next target, Bollywood. Yeah. So I got Raj Kapoor, I got Rishi Kapoor, Ranbir Kapoor, Chimpu, and all the guys. And Rishi Kapoor made his first movie in New York and in a hotel. And the whole team stayed with us with Aishwarya Rai as the heroine at that time. And Lord Chale was the name of the movie, I still remember. One thing led to another. And that $1 million loss in the first year, in 5 years, became a $12 million profit year. And per year, I mean, the net operating income spread on our bottom line. And now I could renovate the hotel. I changed a lot of things. And we started getting corporate guests. And we were on easy street. Just then I get a call from Bhagwan, God, Ajit Kirkar. And he goes, Sam, you've done a fantastic job in New York. We love it. You've done a great job. We are putting our first deluxe hotel in London, the St. James Court Hotel. And we'd like you to take it over, open the hotel for us, and can go to London. I said, wow, London. Wait on my resume, New York, London. Yeah. And the girls were thrilled. Skylar was happy. The kids were happy. So we went off to London. Yeah. And what a hotel. The Taj has gone overboard. They had spent a ton of money. It was a beautiful deluxe property. Yeah. Although on the wrong side of town, it was not in West End, it was in Buckingham Gate, but they had spent a ton of money. It used to be an old Victorian guest house here. With a courtyard, 400 rooms, 80 apartments around the Victorian courtyard. And boy, it was phenomenal. Yeah. But here again, I had my challenges there. The Taj had overspent. They had in fact spent so much that I didn't have any reserves at all. And I was opening a brand new hotel. I needed money to spend. And things were really tough. I didn't know when the banks would put the lock on the door. If there was a carpet that was ripped anyway, I didn't have the money to have that carpet changed. Yeah, I would remove a carpet from under a bed and stitch that and get it fixed. Yeah. It was tough in the early days. I said, we got to do something to get this place rocking. And then Providence. Mr. Raskotra, remember the Indian ambassador to the United Nations? Mr. Raskotra was transferred to London as the Indian High Commissioner to UK. In London, I immediately went and kissed his ring and all. And Mr. Raskotra, I'm here, remember? Don't worry. And then in 2 weeks' time, just in 2 weeks' time, I get a call from India House. That Sam, Can you come over to India House? Mr. Raskutra would like to see you. So I hopped in a cab, went over there. And I went to Raskutra's office, and sitting in his office was this guy, Salman Haider. Salman Haider was the Deputy High Commissioner here. More British than the British, yeah, stiff upper lip and all that. Yeah. So anyway, I met Mr. Raskutra, and Raskutra said that, Sam, you know, the President of India, Shri Venkatraman, is coming over to London, and he's coming with a huge entourage of ministers, etc. And we'd like to put them all at the St. James Court Hotel here. I said, wow, thank you very much, Mr. Raskutra. It's indeed an honor and a privilege, and I will definitely take care of them and all. So he said, no, but that's not the reason why we called you. Basically, the President of India wants to hold a state banquet for Her Majesty the Queen, the entire royal family, and the entire British cabinet, with all the ministers and the Indians who's who. Yeah? And we'd like to have it at the St. James Court Hotel also. So immediately, Salman Haider pipes in, but sir, you know that the Queen only goes to the Claridge's Hotel for state banquets and no other hotel here. So Raskutra turns around and tells Salman that, you know, the President of India is staying in an Indian hotel. The President of India is inviting Her Majesty the Queen for a state banquet in an Indian hotel. And the Queen will go to an Indian hotel here. Boom, boom. It was like, boom. I said, Mr. Raskutra, I'll make you proud. I'll make you proud. Yeah. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. And then Mr. Raskutra walks out with me, puts his hand on my shoulder and tells me, Sam, are you sure you can do this? I said, yes, sir, of course. Yeah. But I had one big advantage. I had 4 months to prepare. Immediately go to the hotel, call Bhagwan, Mr. Kerkar on the phone. Mr. Kerkar, I need your help. This is something that will put the St. James on the map of London, UK, and we'll get tremendous publicity if we do it right. Yeah, I need your help. I need Satish Arora, the chef de culinaire of the Taj group of hotels, to be flown in, work out my menu for the banquet. I need Mrs. Kerkar, your wife. She was the interior designer of the whole Taj group. I want to do the entire Edwardian banquet room in typical Indian style. Yeah. I want Mrs. Mandwewala, who was the florist. I want her to do every banquet room, head table, etc. for the banquet. I want the gold cutlery of the Tata family, which Taj has locked up in the safe, to be flown for the royal table here. I will make sure that every security officer will count every fork and knife and spoon and collect them back and count them, and I'll send it back to you. Mr. Kerkar said, okay, all right, all done. And Mr. Kerkar, the President of India is non-alcoholic. He wants a totally non-alcoholic reception. In the reception, we had Pandit Ravi Shankar and Zakir Hussain doing a little recital for the Queen, and it has to be a non-alcoholic affair. I want every exotic food from India. Chikus and custard apples and pomegranates and mangoes and all flown in. You can't fly in fruits into UK, but Mr. Raskutra, diplomatic pouch, all the fruits came in. And everyone told me, you've got to get the best of butlers to handle this function. I said, no, I will get the best of butlers to train my staff to do it here. And we had every departmental head, from chief engineer to everyone, practicing. You go to the chief engineer's office, instead of playing with his valves and pumps, this guy would be with a fork and a spoon practicing how to serve. Yeah, that was the amount of enthusiasm. You know, the Brits, they take a bullet for the Queen to serve the Queen. God. Anyway, D-Day came, the Queen's function, and on the head table, Her Majesty the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, President of India, Prince Charles, President's wife, Lady Diana, the Duke and Duchess of Kent, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, Maggie Thatcher, John Major, Douglas Hurd, all the ministers and our cabinet ministers and all the gentry, 200 people. Yeah. Wow, a sight to behold. And behind every person, I had man-to-man marking. Mano and mano. Behind the Queen, I had Adi Modi. Adi Modi was sweetheart, yeah, from the Bombay Brasserie. He, man-to-man Queen. Arun Harnal, also from Bombay Brasserie. You will focus only on the President. Gilles Paroudin, who was my maitre d', your job is just focus on Prince Charles. So every person had their own waiter. And finally, it started. And like how much you prepare, some bloody mishap is going to happen here. So anyway, the menu Satish Arora had done was this dosa filled with lobster in a truffle sauce, garnished with edible flowers and all. Oh my God. Yeah. So the entree came in, served to everyone on the head. And you have to remember that when the queen raises her fork and knife, the banquet starts. And when the queen puts down a fork and knife, clear all the dishes out. So, okay, fine. The entree was served. And Prince Charles tells the President of India, my entree is a little different from yours. So the president says, mine is vegetarian. I have a potato filling. You have a different filling here. So Prince Charles said, wow, I'd like to have yours. So our President of India says, I'll cut half of mine and you take my half. And on the head table in front of all this gentry, our president is cutting his dosa to scoop up half of it. Thank God, Gilles Peroudin had the common sense, jumped in and said, Your Majesty, Prince Charles, I will get another dosa for you. And he swiped Prince Charles's plate away and ran to the satellite kitchen. Satish Arora was pulling his hair. Where am I going to get a dosa, a vegetarian dosa? Yeah, everything is all set. Yeah. Quickly, he removed the lobster, put potato filling it in, wrapped it up. In the meantime, I was getting worried because the queen had nearly finished her dinner. And if she puts a fork and spoon down, Charles goes hungry. Anyway, dosa came in. You're all looking at the queen. And, she was astute. She was playing with a carrot, playing with a grape, looking around. And as soon as Charles was about to get over, she put her fork and knife down and boom, clear the plates, count the cutlery, the gold cutlery. In the meantime, a waiter comes running to me. Sir, Princess Margaret wants a gin and tonic. But this is a vegetarian, non-alcoholic. I said, give the bloody gin and tonic. Yeah, it anyway looks like water. Just serve it. Yeah, that was an event to remember. The next day, every British press that you can think out, whether it was the Daily Mail, the Times, the Independent, the state banquet on the front page here. In India, every newspaper had the state banquet. Even New York Times page 3 covered it here. And we were rocking here. Imagine, 2 weeks after that, I get a call from Prince Charles' office that Prince Charles is hosting at Kensington Palace a banquet for the Aga Khan. And he would like the St. James to cater for it. Whoa, awesome, man. And here we all are our tails and all off to Kensington Palace and phenomenal banquet. 4 or 5 weeks later, another call from Prince Charles' office. Prince Charles at the St. James Palace is hosting a reception dinner for Sonia Gandhi. Will you handle it? I said, of course, yeah. I mean, what the hell? Man? Again, I and my Jodhpur, Skyline and Asari, all of us go St. James Palace, Sonia Gandhi banquet and all that. So that's how we got the official approval from the royal family as the hotel for the Queen. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah. And then, of course, one thing led to another. At that time, I remembered Mr. Bajpayee's words, Bollywood is here to stay. And I said, I must get Bollywood. And to get Bollywood, I must get the big B. I must get Amitabh Bachchan. So fortunately, Amitabh Bachchan's brother, Abhijit, at that time, his wife, Ramola Bachchan, was... Ajitab's wife, Ramola Bachchan, was a good friend of my wife, Skylar. So through her, we managed to get the big B to stay at the St. James, Suite 1132. And you will not believe it, from that day till today, Amitabh Bachchan stays at the St. James Court Hotel in 1132. Yeah. Once Amitabh came in, then all my Bollywood Kapoors came in, and then you had Rekha and the Khans and Salman Khan and Shahrukh Khan and all the Bembley shows of Indian Bollywood stars. The entourages would be with us, the shooting crowds would be with us, and the Indian corporates started coming in. One thing led to another. And then I thought, all this is fine, but I need some American business here. I mean, I need some good business from America. So I approached Vijay Amritraj. Vijay Amritraj was a dear buddy of mine from the Taj Bombay days, and he was the president of the USTOA, the US Tennis Association of America. And Vijay said that, Sam, if you need the players, you've got to get Nick Bollettieri. Nick Bollettieri's academy, Bollettieri Academy, was like a stud farm for tennis players. You had Sampras, Agassi, Courier, Williams sisters, all of them from that academy, and he stayed at the London Intercontinental. So I went to him and begged him to try my hotel, and he came in. I gave him the presidential suite, 1262, and put a liquor trolley and this and that. He was thrilled. The very next year, I had staying with me Pete Sampras, Jim Courier, Andre Agassi, Stefan Edbergs, the Williams sisters. The whole Wimbledon scene was at my hotel. The official Wimbledon transport started from the St. James Court Hotel. And we had arrived on the sports world. Yeah. So that's how we got the, and I used to run a little bit in the marathons and all that. And I said, shit, we should be the official London Marathon Hotel. So I managed to get, we were recognized as the official London Marathon Hotel. So things started moving in the right direction, and that the hotel started making a little money. I still remember in those days, yeah, every morning at about 10 o'clock in the morning, I would dress up in my suit and all that, and I would stand on the steps of the St. James Court Hotel, the entrance here. And in those days, those tourist buses would go by, the open air buses, and they would stop in front of our hotel, and the tour guide would say in his mic, and this is the St. James Court Hotel, which is always patronized by the Queen, and where all the Wimbledon players, Sampras, Agassi, and all stay. And yeah, the crowd would clap and pictures, and I would be waving my hand like, that was London, yeah. That was London.
That's fantastic. So what brought you back to New York?
Well, just when I thought I was doing well, like they say, I got pulled back in. Yeah, I get a call from Bhagwan, Sam, you've done a great job in London, but unfortunately, the hotels now, Taj had opened a few hotels in US and Washington, Chicago, etc. The hotels in US are not doing that well. And we'd like you to go back to New York and help us over there. I said, okay, New York is home. I have to go to New York. Yeah. So the family and I all went to New York, and I mean, it was a totally, great scene now, running hotels in New York, etc. But then within a year of my coming to New York, there was a big political turmoil in the Tatas. G.R.D. Tata retired. Ratan Tata became the chairman, and Krishna Kumar became the CEO of Indian Hotels Company, the Taj Group of Hotels. And Mr. Kerkar was asked to go. I mean, I was very close to Tata. I mean, a very dear friend. I mean, a gentleman's gentleman. I mean, such a humble person. Yeah. And a few don't know that he loves movies also. And in those days, his favorite movie was Usual Suspects. And I used to call him Kaiser Soze. And Kaiser Soze was the Don in Usual Suspects. And he was a sweetheart. Yeah. So anyway, Krishna Kumar decided then to sell all the US hotels, because the US hotels were 3-star hotels. They didn't fit in the synergy of the Taj. They didn't fit in that Taj standard. They're making money, but he said, we got to get that right category of hotels. So all the hotels were for sale. But the Taj was extremely, extremely grateful for what I had done. And they said, Sam, come back to India. We'll give you the whole of North India, the Delhi hotels, 2 of them, Banaras, etc. Come back to India and take over North India. So I said, okay, fine. I told the wife and kids, we've got to go back to India. Job is job. So we all went back to India. Strangely, having run hotels independently, now to work in an organization again, I felt suffocated. I felt like I was put in a box. I had to consult everyone to do everything. Yeah, I just didn't have that freedom. And that was putting a lot of stress in me. And I missed the energy of New York. And I miss sitting on the couch with my kids and watching WWF, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. I miss my MTV. And so I finally went back to Mr. Tata and Krishna Kumar, and I told them that, Sai, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. But I think I'd like to go back to New York. I want to take my chances there. And they were a little bit disappointed that I turned them down. But anyway, they said, fine, Sam, if you want to go back to New York. We put the hotels for sale. Why don't you help us with the sale of the hotel? After the sale is over, fine, you do whatever you want. And I went back to New York, and all the hotels were sold. The last one to go was, of course, the Lexington Hotel. And it was bought over by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is, Goldman Sachs, a finance company. And they were not into hotels, but Goldman Sachs got a company called Highgate Hotels, which was run by the Kimchi family, and told Highgate to manage the hotel. Fortunately for me, Highgate didn't have any hotels in New York. They had hotels in Detroit, Dallas, etc., but none in New York. So Highgate saw the balance sheet, the cash flows and all that. And they said, Sam, would you like to run the hotel for us here? I said, wow. So imagine coming to New York 19 years ago with one hotel, and after 19 years, back to one hotel here, the Lexington here. So I said, okay, sure. But one thing I really liked, I was called to the Goldman and Highgate offices here. And Goldman and Highgate told me very clearly that, Sam, we are not looking at it as one hotel. We are looking this as a portfolio of hotels that we want to develop. And don't worry, we will give you whatever money you need, but we want you to be successful and get a pool, a talent pool for the future hotels that we grow on here. For the first time, I had someone who was covering my back finance-wise here. And I said, wow, this is a good shot for me. Yeah. But by then, the hotel scene had changed a lot in New York City. There were no more FITs. There were no more free independent tourists. There were no more travel agents and all that. It was the .com age. It was the Expedias. It was the hotels.com. It was Priceline. It was the hotel website, etc. I used to do yield management by taking these little stickies, writing the rate on every computer terminal. But now, things had changed. And I knew I had to get the right talent. I couldn't do this. So who do you call? The Taj. So I managed to get the top revenue guy of the Taj group of hotels. His name was Jacob Kurian. And I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. I told him, I'll get you a work permit for America. I'll get you a green card and you'll have the ultimate US dream, a US citizenship, if you come over and join me. Kurian came over. Along with Kurian, his assistant, Sulakshna Jain, she came over. Her colleague, actually, Sulakshna, came over. And then the top revenue guy in Delhi, Samir Mehra, he came over. I got him. I got Ankur Randi from the Taj Bombay. I got Gopakumar from the Taj. And I had this phenomenal pool of revenue managers, the finest. And Taj was a generation ahead of everyone in revenue management. And they went through my occupancies, average rates, etc., like a flight to perform their algorithms, and they found the dates when they should compress and the dates that they should relax the dates, and through the competitive set and star reports and all that. That was an education for me too. These guys started rocking. Now I had to get a pool of talent also in operations. So I thought the best thing to do is, get our Parsis. Yeah, that's where I get my loyalty. So Sam Kapadia, who was the number 2 in Taj Mansingh, got Sam Kapadia. Yazdi Katrak, who was the general manager of the Taj Western Hotel and Taj Samudra Hotel, got Yazdi Katrak here. Adi Sidhwa, who was the number 2 in the Taj Kathmandu, got Adi. And I thought, let me get some local people also. There was this guy named Kaizad Charna. He was studied hoteliering in Austria and all, got Kaizad. And there was this spunky girl who was working. I was studying actually in Baruch College in New York, Parizad Zorabian. And I got Parizad as my guest relations. Later on, she became a movie star and acted with Amitabh Bachchan. And now she's a successful CEO of Zorabian Foods in Bombay. But anyway, then I got Burgess Thunti. Burgess was our chef at the Chambers, the finest operation in Bombay. I got Burgess Thunti. And then Hoshidar Wadia, little dynamo, Hoshidar, yeah, the guy was all over. Yeah. Xerxes Karsetji, my God, Xerxes, total Hilton man, Hilton school, worked in Hilton hotels, God, Xerxes Karsetji. Nawaz Mehta, she was a tough cookie, made her the night manager immediately. And then, there was Niras Tata and Rhoda, and of course, there was our friend Parsi Kavarana and all these guys, Ninsha Kanga, and got this whole. And then I was a little partial to Catholics, being in a Christian school and all. So I contacted this guy, Brendan Moraes. Brendan was the number 2 in the President Hotel. Got him over. Keith Holmes from Taj Bombay, got him over. Dennis Zalki, Savio D'Souza, Troy Zuzard, and Natasha Seppi, and then Florence Frau, who was the general manager of Fort Aguada. Got him. Deepak Balani, the general manager of the Shamiana restaurant. I had this team. Revenue guys started rocking. The Lexington made a profit of 20 million within 1 year. Within 2 years, I get called by Goldman and Highgate. There's this hotel down the road called the Metropolitan Hotel. This hotel is losing money. Belongs to the Lowe's Hotel Group, big chain. And we'd like to buy this hotel. Do you think you can handle it and you have the people to manage it? I said, of course, sir, absolutely, piece of cake. So we got the Metropolitan Hotel. Immediately moved Sam Kapadia there as the general manager, Yazdi Katrak as the assistant general manager, Burgess Thunti as the chef, and Samir Mehra as the director of revenue services. I studied the balance sheets, found out that the hotel was losing about 2-3 millions just in food and beverage. And it was stupid in those days that, nobody eats food in a hotel, lunch and dinner. We used to have 5 lunches and 10 dinners here. New York is the dining capital of the world. Yeah, people go out and eat. Yeah, why maintain all these restaurants and why maintain all these outlets? So I shut down all the restaurants, kept a small place at the back of the hotel for breakfast, and leased out that restaurant space to various shops. Of course, I had a tough problem with the unions negotiating the shutting down. I paid them off. And what was a $2-3 million loss? Now, the loss was gone because I shut down the restaurants and we got rental from the leased shops. Yeah. So it became a $2-3 million profit. In fact, that then was copied by all the hotels in New York, even the Waldorf Astoria. Oscar's restaurant, they shut it down after breakfast. Nobody eats lunch and dinner in hotel restaurants here. What the hell? And it's expensive with union labor. So anyway, Metropolitan Hotel, from a loss in the very first year, made an $8 million profit. Highgate was thrilled. Goldman was thrilled. In a year, I was called again. There is this hotel called the Park Central Hotel, 1,000 rooms on Times Square. You think you can handle it? I said, of course, no problem. I took it over and immediately sent Florence Frau. Remember the guy from Taj Fort Aguada? Sent there as a general manager. Sent Dennis Zalki from the President Hotel as the front office manager. Deepak Balani, the Shamiana guy, as food and beverage manager. Team was in place, and Ankur Rande, a top revenue guy, in as revenue manager. And it was sort of so much of fluff that was there. We chopping in expenses. There's the revenue churned it, and boom! From losing money, we did about 10 million in 2 years. Yeah. Highgate calls me again. Says, very good, very good. And Goldman says, Sam, there is a hotel called the Paramount Hotel. The Paramount Hotel is a tricky hotel. And we'd like you to run it and like you to take it over. Now, Paramount Hotel is a very trendy hotel. It was the first trendy hotel before the W started. It belonged to a guy named Ian Schrager who started Studio 54. Everyone there is in black designer jeans and black blazers and white shirts and all that. Hep hotel, yeah. I said, where the hell am I going to get a Hep bloody general manager? I need a Hep GM for that, a young, energetic kid. Kaisa Charna. Kaisa, the guy from Austria. Yeah, the guy's a Hep kid, man. Always in his designer, a lot of pianos and all. And I said, yeah, that's the man. I said, Kaisa over there. I got the happiest revenue manager I had, Gopa. I said, Natasha Sippi, she was a dynamo in front office manager, and Paramount took off. Then came my biggest challenge. I was called by Goldman again. And Goldman tells me, there is this 1,500 room hotel, which is boarded up for the last 3 years, the Milford Plaza. You think you can clean it up and open it for us now? Will you be able to do it? So, yes, sir, of course I'll do it. I'm not going to say no, damn it. Yes, sir, of course I'll do it. Yeah. But I didn't realize I bit off a lot more than I could chew. When a hotel is boarded up for 3 years, you don't realize it has a lot of mold in it, and the linen and all has to be just thrown away, burnt. Yeah. And we got the hotel in October, and I had to open the hotel before Thanksgiving. Because the best time of the year for us was December, Christmas shopping. And you're on Times Square, the ball drop, New Year's Eve, you can charge $1,000 a room per night on New Year's Eve. And on the market shopping week, you can charge $500-600 a night. I got the toughest guy I had, Cyrus Karseji. Cyrus he knew his onions. I got my live wire, the little dynamo Hoshidar Wadia. I got him over there. And I got this girl, Parsi Behram Shah. Parsi was a housekeeper in a hotel in Houston. I got her. She was barely 25, 30 years old, but she was all over the place. They were on the floor, scrubbing walls and all. We had the hotel open in Thanksgiving. I had the best revenue manager, Samir Mehra, there. And we were rocking on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and Christmas shopping, charging $600-700 a night for those little pokey rooms here. But that was supply and demand, revenue management here. And then came Manhattan Times Square, of course, Brendan Moraes, my president guy, Ofto as general manager, and Keith Holmes was there, and boom there. Then came that 1,500 room monster of a hotel in Boston Park Plaza. Wow, 1,500 rooms, 15,000 square feet of banquet space and 1,500 rooms here. No problem. Again, chop, revenue management, blah, blah, blah. And then came 30, then came 4 more hotels in upstate New York, the Poconos and all that. And we had 12,000 rooms. Imagine we had more rooms in New York than Marriott, Hilton, and Sheraton, all 3 put together. When I had first come in, I was scared of these King Kongs. Now Highgate Hotels was the kingpin of New York City. More hotel rooms than all these 3 guys put together. We were on easy street. But all good things have to come to an end. Yeah. I get this terrible call in 2012 that Goldman Sachs, they're a finance company. They made a shitload of money from all the hotels, and they wanted to cash out. They wanted to sell all the hotels, get their profits, and that's it. Yeah, put all the hotels for sale. Highgate bought some of the hotels, and the other hotels some of the hotels were managed by Highgate, but the asset managers of the real estate trust that bought those hotels, I was supposed to report to them, and again, I was put in a box, reporting to the asset managers of those various owners of the hotels. Yeah. And I had turned 65 at that time, 66. And I said, let me move on also. Yeah. By then, mom and dad were not doing well. They were staying with my sister, Arna's. And remember that MIT, Jangir Mistry? Yeah, very sweet guy. Yeah. So Jambu was looking after them and all that. I said, I must spend some time with them. Yeah. So I decided to move to Houston, spend time with mom and dad, do a little bonding with them. And I moved to Houston. And I also worked at the same time as an asset manager for Schrager Hotel, the Paramount guy. But it involved a lot of traveling, going from London to San Francisco and all. So I finished all that and then settled down in New York, retired now, playing pickleball, bridge and line, going to the gym, pumping iron, and that's life. Dad unfortunately passed away within the year of my going. Mom slipped into Alzheimer's and she passed. But those years that I spent with them were phenomenal, and that bonding was great. Yeah. So that's my life story. That's the history of my hotel career. That's it.
My God, incredible story. I've seen you in every one of these stages, in every location. I've seen you in New York running each hotel and starting each new one. You would walk and work at every single one of them. You knew every number of every hotel every morning. I have seen how much you've taken care of these Parsis over the years. Many of my recommendations you've hired as well. Beramcha, the contractors, Shaizeen and Carl, you'll remember all.
I forgot Carl contractor and
There's a lot. There's an enormous list of Parsis that you have taken care of over the years. In addition to all of this incredible accomplishments that you've had in hotels, I believe you're not only a marathon runner, but you have run 14 marathons in New York and London. So what prompted that kind of love for running?
Well, I didn't have any love for running. It was just the stress. Get rid of the stress. Yeah. When I came into New York, I was totally stressed out, and the only way I could relieve my stress was I had this little Walkman, and I would love listening to this old Hindi songs, and growing up, we used to listen to those Bule Bisre Geet, Purane Filmon ke Geet, 7:30 to 8 in Radio Ceylon, and listening to KL Saigal, Pankaj Malik, Jyotika Ray, and all that. It was peaceful, yeah. I would run with my director of security, Bob Thomas, and we would go down FDR Drive. We would increase our run down Fifth Avenue, Central Park, around the reservoir, etc. And then we decided, come on, let's run the marathon. Yeah. And you run a marathon, you know it. It's the first one, the toughest one. It's all mental. You run one, you run them all. Yeah. So one, second, third. But I think another exciting one that I ran, of course, was the London Marathon. And Dorab and all, a lot of Parsis over there when I was in London came to me. And they said, Sam, we'd like you to run the London Marathon for charity. We are planning opening our center. We'd like you to run the London Marathon. I said, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, people were giving me £1 per mile, £2 per mile, 26-mile race. Yes, yeah. And then Bombay House came to know of it, and J.R.D. Tata gave £1,000. Ratan Tata gave £1,500. Ajit Kirkar gave £1,000. Darbari Seth gave £2,000. Farokh Kavarana gave £2,500. And we collected close to £50,000. Yeah. And I ran the London Marathon for that. And one of the things I'll always remember that I was told that at the 25th mile, it's a 26-mile race ending at Buckingham Gate. At the 25th mile, there is this buddy of mine, Ronnie Irani, under the Admiralty Arches just before the mall. He will give you a Dagli and a Pagri. And you have to run the last mile wearing a Dagli and a Pagri. I said, what the bloody hell, yeah. And anyway, on the 25th mile, Ronnie Irani was waiting with the Dagli and Pagri waving out at me. And I put on the Dagli and holding the Pagri in my hand and running the last 1 mile. And as I was going through the finish line, there used to be this radio commentator. We used to introduce all the charity runners. And he said, I see this man. And he's wearing a funny shirt and he's wearing a Napoleon hat on his head running. I don't know what call he's running for. But it was great. It was great. And all the Parsis were there. The whole Parsi clan, the ladies in the Gara, there was a Dastuji also, I remember. All of them were there to welcome me. And we all went to the St. James and all that. So it was fun. It was fun.
Do you have any pictures of this or of the Queen or any of these?
All my pictures, yeah.
Proof. We want proof.
Okay. Here is the picture. I don't know if you can see it. This is all the Parsi ladies at the finish line, and this is in our courtyard with me over there with all the Parsis in the courtyard. With Dorab is there also somewhere there, and here's another one with the Parsis and all that. Yeah. Hey, but one picture I might show you. My pride and joy. I am a royalist at heart. Apri Rani. Can you see Apri Rani?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that is me with the Queen of England. Yeah, that is a picture I'll never forget. That's the one. Yeah, Apri Diana. Yeah. So it was was a great innings. Yeah.
Wow, that is that is some of the best. That is some of the best storytelling I've ever heard. I'm guessing, Arzan, we can open up to some questions now. Tanya, should people just put it in the chat or?
Yes, just put your questions in the chat and we'll get to that.
Okay. Let me see. What do we have? My gosh, there's a lot in the chat. Sam, a lot of people calling you the Godfather. I don't know if you can see the chat. That's fantastic.
Thank God.
So here we go. Okay, so we got one. This is from, I think some people are sending it to me privately. Oh, okay. You can send your questions to or you can send to me privately, actually, that's fine. So what has been we got this question, so many movies and TV shows have been filmed in hotels and all kinds of interesting events happening. Have you had any embarrassing moments in your hotel experience?
Embarrassing moments, there's one moment that comes to mind immediately, and even tonight, in the night when I think of it, I get sweaty. This was, I think, in 1978 or so. I was called by Rusi Daruwala, the general manager, and Rusi said that, Mr. Daruwala said that, Sam, I got a call from Bombay House, GRD Tata's office, and GRD Tata is bringing in a gentleman from the airport. His name is Tengku Arif Bendahara. He's a member of the royal family in Malaysia. He's coming with his wife, they're newly married. And I want you to take care of this whole thing. And GRD Tata is giving a reception personally with all the Tata Politburo, the directors of Tata Sons, in the Prince's room in the evening to the Tengku here. So don't worry, Mr. Daruwala, I'll take good care of it. I blocked the best suite in the house, the Rajput suite, 346, and put a full liquor trolley with a bottle of Cristal, everything, all the works. I had my best guest relations girls, Firoza Punawala, Parvez Irani, and everyone with Aarti and Diva and garlands and all that. I checked the suite myself in the end and made sure that nobody walked in the suite, no footprints on the hoovered carpet, etc. Got the room and then kept the key in my hand and the spare key in the pigeonhole, and I kept the key waiting for him. In the meantime, in those days, there used to be wedding receptions at the Taj, and there was this Marwadi wedding in the Crystal Room. And our tradition was that always the honeymoon couple would be given a suite at the Taj. And florist Motiwala, with all his bhaiyas, this guy wearing those short striped pajama striped trousers, they would come and do up the suite with flowers and all that. So Motiwala comes to the desk and tells them, "Arey, give me the key for that honeymoon suite that you are blocking." And the receptionist, instead of giving 446, the Dolphin suite, accidentally gives him the key, the spare key, 346, the Rajput suite. One key I had, one key was there. He gave that key, 346. And then I'm there waiting for Mr. Tata, and Mr. Tata comes in, and Mr. Tata never goes to the airport to receive anyone, not even for Indira Gandhi, but he went for the Tengku because they were investing heavily in Malaysia. So the Aarti and garlands and all that, and I escort the Tengku. The Adi says that, I'll see you all later in the evening in the Prince's room, and I escort the Tengku up. And in the meantime, I signaled my manager, call the room service waiter, tell him to run up the butler to open the champagne and all. I take him into the Rajput suite, beautiful suite. The Tengku and his wife sit on the swing and all that. The waiter pops open Cristal and champagne and whatnot. In the meantime, I'm hearing some voices coming from the neighboring room. So I thought it was maybe the neighboring guest talking loudly, but the voices continued. I said, let me go and check while the Tengku is drinking. I go into the bedroom, and believe me, I lost a pint of blood right there. I saw Motiwala and those bhaiyas in those shorts putting up those pillars on the bed and flowers and torans and whatnot. I said, Moti, what are you doing? So he said, they gave me the key of 346. They said, this is the honeymoon cup. I said, Moti, this is the Tengku suite. What are you doing here? Get the hell out of here. I literally pushed them out. Thank God, the bedroom of the Rajput suite had a door going straight to the corridor. In the meantime, the Tenku walked in the bedroom, hearing that little noise here. And he said, is everything okay over here? I said, yes, sir. One thing Taj teaches you is bloody presence of mind here. Yes, sir, everything is fine, sir. It is our custom and tradition at the Taj that any VIP that is come here on his honeymoon, we do this whole bed up for him and we put these flowers up for them and all that. The Tenku was thrilled. He called his wife and he made us sit on the bed and took pictures with the flowers and all that. Whew. An embarrassing moment turned out to be. And the same evening, at the reception, the Tenku in fact says that this is what hospitality is about. The Taj came to know that we were married and they did this whole room in flowers and whatnot for us. G.R.D. Tata calls and says, Sam, very good show, very good show. That was very good presence of mind that you actually thought of. Well, little did I know it was a Gotala that had happened, which turned out okay. So that was an embarrassing thing which I'll never forget.
That is incredible. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know, how do we top that? So you've had a fantastic journey. Do you have any regrets at all in how it went?
Do I have any regrets? Man, that's a tough one. Yeah, I do have one regret. I do have one regret. I got so involved in my work, so involved in hotels, that I didn't spend much time with my family. I didn't spend much time with my kids here. Even today, my young one, little one, Shanaya, she's now 30 years old, tells me, Dad, you didn't even teach me how to ride a bike. Yeah, no, it's true. I deserve it. I mean, I should have spent more time with the family. Morning till evening, I was at the hotel. And in fact, my wife, Skylar, used to tell me, 35 years you're married, but not one day, one New Year's Eve have you spent with the family. The question is, New Year's Eve is the busiest day in any hotel. I mean, every bar is jumping, every restaurant, banquets are jumping. I have to be in the hotel. I have to be with the staff that are working, sacrificing their families for us. And that is my biggest regret. Fortunately, both the girls have done very well. Vinayfa is a double graduate from Columbia University. She is a psychiatrist now. She did her stint with the Peace Corps and all that. She worked in the slums of Delhi and the slums of Bombay, and now she is a practicing psychiatrist. My younger one, Shanaya, she's in the fashion world. She's a merchandising manager. She's worked with Eli Tahari, J. Crew, Oscar de la Rente, etc. She's doing very well. So I'm happy. Both are settled very well. Yeah, both are doing well.
No, that's fantastic. That's a good lesson for all of us. Okay, we have another question. Who are some of the famous people that you've met over the years?
Oh, how do I compile all that here? Anyway, of course, the one that tops the list is the royal family. I am a royalist at heart. Apri Rani, Apri Queen, the Queen of England, the Duke Edinburgh, Prince Charles, and Lady Diana, Maggie Thatcher. That is my number one. Number two, strangely, but it's mine. I think I have met every Prime Minister of India from 1982 to 2012. Everyone. From Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi to Bajpayee to Manmohan Singh, all of them. Yeah. Then, of course, I mean, I'm a bit of a Nelson Mandela. I met him. Yeah, Bill Clinton, met him, and I'm a big sports nut. Yeah. So I mean, all the tennis players, Sampras, Agassi, Courier, all of them, and Lennox Lewis, the world heavyweight boxing champion. Yeah. Oh man, Riddick Bowe and Linford Christie, the fastest man in the world, 100 meters Olympic champion. Yeah. Roger Federer stayed with us a couple of times. Yeah. And of course, I met two 007s, Sean Connery, rest in peace. I mean, James Bond. Yeah. I met him in States. Roger Moore stayed with us. Yeah. And of course, Bollywood. Yeah. I mean, Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan and Aishwarya. You will not believe this, but Abhishek Bachchan proposed to Aishwarya Rai on the balcony of the Marilyn Monroe suite of the Lexington Hotel, 1806. Yeah. So, I mean, and then of course the Khan, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, the Dutts, of course, the Kapoors, the sports people, of course, I forgot Gary Soper's, Tendulkar, Azharuddin, Kapil Dev, Gavaskar and all that. But the biggest one of all I always wanted to meet was Dilip Kumar. Yeah. I grew up watching every movie of Dilip Kumar. Yeah. Dilip Kumar, I watched Didar, I watched Andaz, everything in Diana Cinema, Leader in Maratha Monday, Ganga Jamuna in Opera House, Ram Shyam in Apsara. I was a big Dilip Kumar fan. I used to stand outside to watch him on premiere nights here. And I was in one of my hotels, standing at the counter, the far end of the counter, going through the arrival list, and through the corner of my eye, I see Dilip Kumar walking in with Saira Banu. I said, holy moly, Dilip Kumar entering my hotel. I must run and meet him. I said, no, goose frappa, cool it, do your work, let him handle his own thing. So from the corner, I'm watching him. I see Dilip Kumar going to the counter and telling the counter girl, excuse me, I'd like to meet Mr. Sam Bada. I said, my God, Dilip Kumar asking for me. No, continue your work. Let Dilip Kumar come to you. You should not go to him. Ego. Anyway, the reception says that gentleman at the end of the counter is Sam Bada. So Dilip Kumar walks right down the counter and he comes to me. Excuse me, are you Sam Bada? I said, yes, sir, I'm Sam Bada. Shake his hand. Dilip Kumar. He had come with his wife because they wanted to host their 25th wedding anniversary party at the hotel. It was a big success, and we became good friends after that. So that is my experience with Dilip Kumar. And there's M.F. Hussain, of course, Hussain Painter and all that. Yeah. So it's quite an experience.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's something interesting that Hussain had done for you. Do you have any way to show them? I don't know if you have a way to show it, but
yeah, I'll have to take the laptop. I own. Hussain Painter was a very, very dear friend, and he, out of his own said, "Sam, I'm going to paint for you the Ashok Faroa," and he painted the Faroa. And I'll have to take the laptop there. Hold on one sec. Yeah, sorry, my house is a little bit messy, but I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Okay, this is the Faroa. Can you see it?
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's what
famous
he did.
painter.
I don't know if you can see it, to my friend Sam, and that's what he did. And of course, this is you know who
No, who's that?
You know who. So big fan of Hussain also, and a very sweet guy. What he did.
That is fantastic. Arzan, we're quite a bit over. Are we good?
I think we're good. We can just go on as long as audience wants to stay on, and as long as both of you importantly have the time. Sure.
Yeah, Sam, it's up to you. I'm of course fascinated, but I want to know if you're good.
I'm a little bit out of breath, actually.
This has been an amazing pleasure. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Sam for taking the time. This journey is unlike what probably any of us have ever or will ever experience. So thank you. Thank you, Arzan, Tanya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. It's been a fun ride. I loved every minute of it. And I'm very, very grateful for all of you on Saturday morning chipping in, Saturday night chipping in. Thank you all. Thank you.
And we'll keep it open if people want to hang out and just say hi. I'm going to stop.
Hey, Sukhabar Murabbi. Sukhabar. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Air India.
Bombay Macho.
Hi, Air India Jindabad. Well done.
Hi, Sam. Hi. How are you?
Someone's hand is in the middle. Hi.
Hi, Sam uncle.
Hi. How are you guys?
Hey, Sam uncle. How are you?
Mr. Bhadha.
How are you guys? Yeah.
Mr. Bhadha, you mentioned Rusi Daruwala a few times. There is a gentleman here who remembers you from Rusi Daruwala's house.
Sorry,
Rusi Daruwala. My brother. This is Firoz Daruwala, Rusi Daruwala's brother.
Oh, wow. Oh, I remember. Oh, yes, of course.
From Wellington Mews.
Oh, yes.
Yes. He and Naushid Daruwala's mama.
Honestly, I tell you, Phil, I mean, Rusi was my true godfather. He was a giant, man.
Yes. And thank you for everything you did for Bachi auntie and everybody. Thank you.
Bachi also.
Thank you.
You know,
We
Bachi
will
also.
talk offline later.
No, thank you. Take care.
Bye, Sam.
Hi. Hey, Mikey, my man. Mikey.
It was wonderful listening to you. Wonderful. God bless.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Mr. Bada.
Thank you.
Hi.
Sorry,
Hey.
Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Hey, Minu Chan, Minu Acha. I used to borrow money from Minu. Minu was the guy who would my racing used to give me 1 point extra. Yeah, Minu. Minu and money. Thank you, Minu, for all what you've done.
Chalo, all the best.
All the best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Minu, honey.
Sam.
Sam, all the
Very loud.
Oh, Sarosh. Good to see you guys.
Bye. God bless.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sam uncle. Hi.
Hi. Hey, Ratan.
Romeo. Ratan Romeo.
Hi, Tikiti Batu, बहुत cheating करता हूँ ना. Good to see you.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Very well. I'm very sorry. Munna, Are Aziza.
A non-Parsi guy.
Munna
Non-Parsi
Javeri.
friend.
Thank you. All the biryanis that you have given us, all the payas that you've given us. Munna was our patron saint at the time. Munna. Thank you, Munna. Let's give a shout out to all those people in the Taj that helped us. Menosh Kaparia, Shirin Batliwala, Malvinder Narang, Dastuji, all of them. Lucy Dalal.
Hello, hi. Yeah, we remember you so well from your London days. And
Thank you.
And you mentioned Hari. We related to Katie because Hari was in London as well.
Yeah, London.
Done quite a lot of work for us, and that was very nice. Anyway, we wish you well. All the best to you.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you for remembering me.
Sam, so lovely to hear you in person. I've heard so much about you. I'm a hotelier like you. Had a similar journey to you. Studied paramedicine, then did my MBA, and then somehow I joined Oberoi's on the pursuance of Mr. Rusi Sagar. He persuaded my parents to allow me to join the Oberoi's. I'd heard so much about you. I was the resident manager of the Oberoi Bombay, and that's when I left India as well.
Oh, that's a bad word.
I know we were adversaries in a way, but I've always respected everybody from the Taj, and kind of I had interacted with Mr. Kerkar immensely.
That's great. Thank you.
Members of the leading hotels of the world.
Thank you.
Wonderful listening to your journey,
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi, when you're okay.
Hey, Aman, how are you? Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Good day.
Hey, Omi.
And all the best. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Rhoda chao, Melli Rhoda.
Oh, Melli. Melli and Rhoda, Melli. How are you guys? Adel, Polade.
Yeah, I'm there. Bless you. And bless you, your daddy also, your mommy, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Adel. Thank you very much. Yeah, you guys.
It's because of it's because of you all, boss. It's because of you all, your daddy and yourself, that you've given employment to so many Parsis. And I mean, we should not forget that is a very important thing that you've done.
Thank you, Adil. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
No, why thanks? Are boss? Yeah, we should thank you.
Thanks a lot.
We should always thank you.
Thanks.
Of course.
That's.
In fact, if you were there, Taj, they should have made you the chairman of the Tata Trust. No, Tata Trust. They should have made you part of Tata Trust. Instead of having this non-Parsis over there.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I hope
all the best.
Thank
Keep
you.
well.
Bye, Neville. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Give us phone karas pacho.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam Bhai. Thank you, Sam Bhai. My favorite Baba.
My
Thank
best
you.
buddy from New York, Gautam.
This is amazing. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you, Gautam.
Okay.
I'll catch up with you later. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.
Mr. Bada, you talked about Malvinder Narang. Do you know what is the latest with Malvinder Narang and his wife, Khurshid Narang?
No.
No? Oh, that's unfortunate. We were with them in Yemen together, so we thought we might get the connection through you.
Go, I'm in touch with Malvinder very often. We are on Facebook, etc. He's doing well. He joined the Hotel Association and he's the president, I think, of the Hotel Association in Bombay.
Okay.
But he's doing very well. Malvinder, both are doing very well.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you.
It was like listening through amazing stuff, and having worked with you for a little while, it's just we're so grateful.
Yeah, it's 45 years in 1 hour. Yeah, so
I know. All the happiness and health.
Very well. Hey, Kashmira, Kashu. Fine, very well.
કેમ ચાલે તારું? તે તારો કો કારા છે જે. તું ને હું સરખા જ છીએ ને.
Indeed, absolutely. How's Farokh? Good.
ફરોક બી મજાનો છે. શું ખબર આખી સમજી કે તારી?
Sorry?
તારી આખી લાઈફ સમજી અમે. જોયેલી બી છે તારી લાઈફ તો. But I સમજી બી.
One of the things I didn't mention of my lovely days in Nasik here with your dad and your guy.
I know. We had a really lovely time.
Thank you.
Well, nice talking to you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So I think with this, we'll probably call it afternoon or an evening. I think, Sam, it's been amazing. Just listening to you and everything that you've done throughout your life. I think there are lessons that all of us can take, whatever profession we are in, whatever we do in our own lives. And so thank you very much. And Cyrus, I think thank you for being an excellent, host for this talk. I think, the connection with you is just, both of you are related. I think that's was coincidental. And I'm you both are welcome to come on the FEZANA talks again in the future. Our next talk, before we lose everybody, our next talk is going to be on November 14th. And that talk is going to be on social justice, equity, and the role of, immigration and immigrants in life in North America. And we'll have an interesting panel of Cyrus Mehta, Niaz Kasravi, and Narges Kakalia, and it'll be moderated by Jim Engineer. This will be 2 weeks from now, 2 Saturdays from now. With that, I thank Sam and I thank Cyrus and all the 200 of you who were on this call today. This will be on YouTube. So, once we have it online, we'll share a link on our emails and social media platforms. So you guys, if you didn't hear it, or if you want to go back and hear parts of it again, you can do that. I think Tanya is doing a talk tomorrow on Instagram. Tanya, do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Just quickly, 2 things. Yes. So if you're on our Instagram, just follow us at the FEZANA and you'll get up-to-date news, events, everything. And we will be doing an Instagram live with the Zoroastrian youth tomorrow at 12 p.m. If you want to be featured in a future FEZANA talks or you have a great idea for it, just email me at tanya@fezana.org and I'm happy to respond. So again, that's tanya@fezana.org if you want to be featured or you have a great idea for a future talk. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tanya.
Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Be
બોલો
well.
બોલો
Great job, Dad.
નહીં આવીએ જ
Congratulations, Dad.
There, Shadow.